After writing dozens of books, serving in Congress for 3 decades, and running for president of the United States 3 times, Ron Paul has entered the realm of the World Wide Web. This summer, the former Texas congressman started the Ron Paul channel, otherwise known as the next chapter of the Ron Paul revolution. Last week, Paul sat down with Wikileaks founder Julian Assange to discuss U.S. military action in Syria and exactly what Julian Assange thinks might be behind it.
Haven't you touched on this subject of somebody looking for an incident, with Syria that would justify, all the countries to come in and the United States government to come in, the British government to come in and do something in Syria? Was there something along that line that you had discovered?
That's right. They really felt that what they needed was for there to be some humanitarian outrage in Syria. And that once they had that, that would legitimize going in with a big airstrike. These countries never really gave a damn about Syrians before.
Joining us now is former congressman from Texas and host of the Ron Paul channel, Dr. Ron Paul. Dr. Paul, thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on the new endeavor.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you as well. I want to first ask you about the interview with Julian Assange and his contention that somehow the U.S. actually wanted this war, wanted a reason to go into Syria. What do you think of that?
Well, I have to believe him. I think he's probably getting it from the documents that he studied very thoroughly. And I think, one thing that's interesting, what his predictions were, if something happened, then they could justify that to go in and expand the war in Syria. But, it's not like 10 years ago where you could bring up something and you could have these comments made and everybody would join and the UN would join and NATO would join and the world would join in the war. Today, it's a different world. Even though they have the incident, they might have been hoping for something, but now they have this so-called gas deaths of the people, and they're accusing Assad of all this, of all the killing, and the rebels haven't caused any trouble. But the world hasn't rallied that way. So I think it's a different world. I think it's a very significant event of what he was talking about.
I have to ask you, do you really think President Obama is looking for a reason to go to war in Syria? I mean, this is a president who has been very public with his skepticism about war. He took an unprecedented action, which was to curb executive power and involve Congress in the decision-making around military intervention. What did you think of that move last Saturday?
Oh, I thought it was pretty interesting. He was yielding to pressure. He was yielding to the vote, in the British Parliament. But I think there's some reason to say that he personally might, not like this. But I think the pressure comes from the people around him, the people who are always around all the presidents, all the leaders of the Republicans, all the leaders of the Democrats. They all gather together. So he's getting that pressure, and it might be contradicting some of his self-instincts. But just look at how the leadership of both parties have lined up. They're just thinking this is it. We have to stick together.
But do you think I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Paul, but do you really think that everyone's lining up to go in? I mean, the wisdom right now is that it's anybody's guess what Congress is going to do in terms of the authorization.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm talking about lining up the leadership. Did you see the leadership of the House and the leadership of the Senate, Republican and Democrat? It's the same way when we wanted to curtail NSA. The leadership, finally kept the power for the NSA, but the grassroots, the coalition is building. I think there's a historic event going on here, and if this vote is one, that is, defeat the request to have more military approach to Syria. I think it'd be historic because it'll be a grand coalition of the Libertarian Republicans and the Democratic Progressives. Everybody's worried about the split in the Democrats and the split in the Republicans. I'm delighted with that split because it's pushing people together who are on opposite ends of the spectrum, one which I enjoy. Get the progressives to come together with the Libertarian Republicans and the Constitutionalists and oppose these wars and protect civil liberties.
Dr. Paul, you have to admit that they wouldn't have a chance to make their voices heard had they not been given the opportunity by President Obama, which is to say if he had not gone to Congress with this, they would have had a chance to vote. And I guess I ask you, do you not applaud the president for making that decision?
No, this is pure political. I mean, he still says he doesn't need the authority. All our presidents say, we don't need authority. But if there's a public pressure to say, let's give the Congress a say. In the past, they'd give the Congress a say, and like we're very important, and then they condone everything. We always condone, essentially, everything the presidents want to do. But today is different. That today is different. The people are tired of this. The world's tired of it. The British are tired of it. When you think of British ally, when you think of how they were behind us on every bomb we ever dropped in the last 15 years or 20 years, all of a sudden they're breaking ranks. I think this is, but to come to the Congress, it's not for constitutional reasons. I could have done that 6 months ago or whenever. But he's coming under pressure, and maybe for political reasons. All right, we'll make the Congress says, why are you doing this without our permission? Let Congress give them the permission, and then they can all share the blame.
Well, I mean,
so there's
Dr.
a lot of politics going on.
I guess we just we'll have to agree to differ on this point, because I do think it seems that the president made that decision totally on his own last weekend and without the support of even his closest advisors. But we'll move on to another subject, and I do want to talk about the Ron Paul channel a little bit. I know you just interviewed your son, Rand Paul, and he also has taken a pretty strong stance on intervention. I wonder, what is your consultation with Rand Paul like in terms of foreign policy these days? Do you speak to him on the phone regularly?
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, he goes his way and I go my way because we're pretty independent-minded. But he obviously has views very similar to mine, and he has, spoken out pretty strongly against this war. So I haven't sensed that he has much of a different position.
Can I ask about Julian Assange was obviously one of your other guests, and you guys spoke about the surveillance state, something that you've been warning against for decades now. In terms of surveillance, how confident are you that we are seeing the end of what has been termed the American empire in terms of a broad overreach and monitoring of American citizens?
Well, we haven't seen the end of it. Tyrants and empires cling desperately, and their best weapon is lying. If they can lie and take away the privacy of the individuals and spy on the people, they're very, very powerful. But the people are waking up. I'm encouraged by it. I was very encouraged by the Justin Amash vote, that coalition, again, of libertarians and progressive Democrats coming together. But we have a long way to go. We are threatened, and I think our biggest threat is from the tyrants in Washington who would not protect our liberties. They destroy our First Amendment. They threaten people. Whistleblowers become, criminals, and they're charged with treason. So, yes, we have a long way to go, but I still think that the whole purpose is truth and openness. We need more openness in government. We need more privacy with the people, and we need to just come home and not have this conspiracy of our government to run all these wars, and all the wars have been based on lies. We haven't proven any lies yet from this administration. They claim they're not going to make the mistake that Bush made about the lies. But believe me, there's going to be found many, many deceptions. And the biggest deception is that we need to be there for national...
I have to interrupt you. You're saying that there are going to be many deceptions found, but you just admitted before that we haven't seen any lies from this administration. Don't you think that's sort of irresponsible?
Well, I think you need to repeat that again, because I missed a little bit of that. Say that again, please.
You contended that we haven't seen lies from this administration, but then went on to say we are sure to see deceptions come from this administration. Until you have seen deceptions or have evidence of lies, is it not irresponsible to sort of stoke the flames of distrust for this government?
Well, I'm going by history, and I didn't get to finish that sentence before when I was answering that, because the real deception, the grand deception, is that we're doing this for national security. That is so bizarre. And at the same time, we fight these wars, we bankrupt our countries, we make more enemies, and we ignore the fact that we use drones to kill kids, and then we're going in there because some gas passed and 100,000 people were killed, and they say, Assad killed them all. And just today I saw this horrendous picture of the rebels, murdering in cold blood, some of the Syrians that they had captured. So, yes, there's a lot of deception going on, and and this gives them license. At the same time, our greatest threat are our liberties here at home, our First Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights. That is where the real concern is, and we're supposed to be, concentrating on invading another country. And quite frankly, if they were honest with us, some of the neocons are more honest with us on this, and it's the march to Tehran. This is all to do with getting Iran and taking that country over, and we've been doing that since 1953.
Dr. Paul,
and then people ask you, why do they dislike us?
Yeah, Dr. Paul, you talk a lot about liberty and broad coalitions, and I think one of the most hopeful signs for the GOP is the broad coalition that you were able to put together in the last presidential race. Young people, old people, middle-aged people, which is really an outlier within the current state of the Republican Party. But with your emphasis on liberty, I have to ask you about some of the folks that are in your coalition. And this weekend, you're going to be giving an address at the Fatima Center, at a conference in Canada for the Fatima Center, which has been called a hardcore anti-Semite group. Is this something that you would reconsider doing?
No.
Even
Catholic.
Go ahead.
I even talk to Republicans, and they disagree with everything I say. When I'm on a Republican stage and I say we should have a foreign policy of a golden rule, they boo me. I'm trying to convert people. But I'm going to a conservative Catholic group that is pro-peace and want to hear my foreign policy and my take on economy. If I go only, I wouldn't be on this station if I had to have a litmus test. I mean, you have an opinion, disagree with mine, so I'm on your station. Why can't I go there?
We appreciate and we appreciate you coming on this station, but at the same time, this station is not advocating, as the Fatima Center has, to the duty incumbent upon Catholics of combating valiantly for the integral rights of Christ the King and opposing Jewish naturalism and preaching about Satan's plans against the church, among which include the granting of full citizenship to the Jews. Is your appearance at an event like this not some kind of endorsement of...
Okay, what I would say is, yes, there are disagreements within the Catholic Church, and they're debating it's theological. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not even going to pretend I know anything about that. Sounds to me like you have me on here to bash Catholics.
I was raised Catholic, so that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah, well, you ought to be more courteous to them and give them a break. I mean, why can't we have discussions with people that might have a difference? And I put up with a lot of this in the last 40 years because not too many people agreed. But why I'm excited is the country is coming toward the way of peace and this coalition of libertarians and progressives. We've had too much war, too much spending, too much Federal Reserve printing of money. And that's what's important for you to bring this stuff up about the infractions of some group that I have no idea what their theology is all about. I don't even have any idea why you do things like that.
Well,
that
because Dr. Paul,
astounds me.
There have been a lot of folks that have been involved with your campaign, supporters. There have been newsletters that have been accredited to you that have strong anti-Semitic, racist undertones. And I think the American public is curious about how you endorse or do not endorse or deny involvement with any of that. And that's why it's a relevant line of questioning. At the same time...
So I've had that. The first month after I was elected in 1976, I had a picture in a magazine. Here I was practicing physician for all those years, and I run for office. I had no expectation of winning. I win. I'm totally innocent. The first month, they put my picture in a magazine with a swastika. So this is just horrible. It just goes on. When people disagree with you on ideas, they have to destroy your character. That's what they do. The main reason I get attacked from anybody like you, it's because there's disagreement on my foreign policy. I want peace, and I don't want to support the warmongers. So you have to go after somebody's character.
I don't think that constitutes a character attack, Dr. Paul, but we really do appreciate you coming on the show and talking about the ideas that are dear to you and your hope for the country. Thanks for your time, former Congressman.
You had your chance. I hope I had my chance for my answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ron Paul, host of the Ron Paul Channel. Thanks for your time.